to stop being dickheads and this won't be an issue.
Yeah.
Write that into law. Just stop being dickheads.
I think that's an excellent policy position. And
It should be your presidential campaign platform.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
3 women talking about politics?
If democracy had a group chat, this would be it. Welcome to Organizing Chaos with Roots Results, where we unpack the chaos that is politics and give you the tools you need to do something about it. I'm Meg Simons, Creative Director at Roots Results, and I'm here with Roots Results co-founders, organizers, and all-around political badasses, Laura Miranda Brown.
Hey.
And Sarah Virgo.
Hi.
The things that we do today will be tomorrow's news. But with the way headlines are going these days, who knows what people are actually going to hear? I truly never thought I'd miss the day where I yearn for headlines like, broccoli is killing you, what to know about this dangerous vegetable. But here we are. Today, we want to talk about the news. Not just the actual headlines, but what's going on behind the headlines. Between 24-hour news services, social media, and the overtaking of print news by evil billionaires,
Jeffrey Bezos.
We're all being inundated by bullshit literally every time we just try and figure out what's going on around us. So today, we're going to look at some recent headlines, talk about what we saw, what was actually happening, and how it's going to impact us in the long term. So let's start with something that impacts literally everyone in America. Healthcare. And for that, we turn to Sarah. Sarah, over to you in the field.
I did not sign up to be a newscaster. The headline that you're seeing right now is that the CDC acts on a presidential memorandum to update the vaccine schedule. It's coming from RFK, so like anti-vax guy does anti-vax thing. But what this actually does, and this might feel a little bit like tinfoil hat-ish, but go with me here. Vaccines are removed from that schedule. So there were 17 vaccines required on the schedule. And now there are 11, essentially meaning that the other ones are sort of optional, or now it's kind of stipulated in like if the child is at high risk. There's lots of different things that now are categorized in that way. What that means, though, is that, and I want to be fair, in the document that was released, insurance companies and the federal insurance programs have agreed to continue paying for all of these vaccines, whether required or not.
For now.
For now. And that's the important part to remember, that not all, like when an agreement is reached, it is usually temporary. And this is for any administration. This isn't just this administration, but it's particularly this administration, because we've seen lots of agreements and statements come out that are then forgotten about or intentionally disregarded after. When we get to a place where those vaccines are no longer going to be covered as part of standard of care, parents will have to make a decision if they are going to vaccinate their children according to the original vaccine schedule, or pay out of pocket, and those prices could be $5, $10, $20,000.
$1 million.
Doesn't really, there's no difference to an insurance company or a big pharma company. We will end up sicker, and these companies will profit because either they are charging upfront costs for these vaccines and these medications, or they are treating patients when they are now very ill. The other danger that I think this opens up is this wellness movement where, science is undermined and like junk explanations make the most sense. So the pain in your foot or the twitch in your finger, it's because you have too much metal in your body and you need a detox tea, or you need these eye patches that will cure everything. And they will ship to you for free, and they're available on, social media, TikTok shops, infomercials, all of those things. This is a $4 trillion business per year. And there are so many direct correlations between RFK and the wellness movement and Big Pharma and the Trump administration. So this relaxing on vaccines and a push for alternative healthcare, that is incredibly dangerous in my mind. And I think that is something we have to continuously look out for.
And we're not talking about like holistic practices or integrating holistic practices into your healthcare. But the crunchy mom to alt-right pipeline is so real.
Right.
And it like starts with questioning vaccines and it ends with like racism and eugenics.
Yes. So there is absolutely a really dangerous pipeline for the anti-vax movement to really take effect and to discredit decades of proven science that have allowed for us not to have to be so fearful of like polio popping up out of nowhere. We could make so many revisions in the healthcare space to make this country healthier overall. Absolutely. I have spent my life advocating for some of those things. But that isn't this. It's like the government has heard people let's be healthier. Let's reduce food additives. Let's change curriculum for kids to be outside and playing and active more. And instead they have said best we can do is measles. We'll give you more measles. We'll ramp those up. So I am concerned about the way that we are just speaking about science in general, but especially in vaccines, because vaccines to me are sort of like the given. Like, this is proven science. It's worked for many years. We don't have these issues.
Ironically, America has had a very long and successful history with vaccines, dating back to this like little thing that people talk about all the time, the
war, the Revolutionary War.
There are very clear indicators that because Washington required all of his troops to be vaccinated against smallpox, including their children and their wives who were also living at camp, that the revolution actually was successful because we were dying at great rates of illness, not starvation. It was starvation and illness primarily. It was incredibly cold winters. But yeah, no, the smallpox vaccination rate across the 13 colonies at that point is what saved us and allowed us to even be the United States of America. So I really struggle with the like far right flag waving pro-America patriot discussion of how vaccines are like anti-American.
This sets the stage for a lot of misinformation to exist and for us to sort of move away from public health into marketplace, which is concerning it's very concerning for me. I think it lets clinicians who may align with this political movement to say that they can relax their clinical care advice, and that will then start to cause doubt for a lot of parents and cause confusion, and that will lead to less people being vaccinated and more people becoming very ill because of that lack of protection. And I think ultimately it is designed to make us just unwell. The wellness movement that he pretends to promote all the time is really not about wellness. It's about greed.
This is a way for them to bring eugenics back in a big way. Not that it ever left, but, you know, for them to start being able to directly go after disabled people in the disability community.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that it's that, but it's also the folks who can't afford to be well because of the way that the healthcare industry has been established. That's really, it's separating well and unwell, and differently able, disabled, and able-bodied folks, and the income disparities.
Laura, I hear you've got some headlines about Elon Musk to talk to us about.
Sadly,
Yeah.
I'd like that. Human? Is he a human? I don't know. I saw him walking the other day in a video, and I was like, wow, that looks like the alien in the skin suit from Independence Day. Like, he just doesn't move like a human anymore. Anyway, I'm going to share two headlines that are fairly recent to frame out this portion of the discussion. And the first is from Reuters. Exclusive. Despite new curbs, Elon Musk's Grok at times produces sexualized images even when told subjects don't consent. And from the UK's Guardian, just an unbelievable amount of pollution. How big a threat is AI to the climate? Just to break it down. In order to make non-consensual sexual content, we are going to pollute the planet to an unbelievable level, leaving us with revenge porn and no drinking water.
Shut it down.
I know Meg already talked about how much she wants to see AI slop gone, and I'm not gonna go back into that. You can take a listen to the GTFO Awards. It was excellent. And I also want to acknowledge that there are legitimate and useful ways to use AI. Like that, I'm not blanket anti-technology or blanket anti-AI. I do believe there are some useful ways to do that, to use that new technology. But uploading photos of your children so that you can get coloring book pages made out of their AI images, or asking ChatGPT to write your book report for you, or uploading your medical records into the totally unprotected website that is ChatGPT, that's not what this is for. That is not a useful function. Climate scientists the world over have been telling us for decades, decade after decade after decade, that CO2 emission levels must be reduced urgently in order to maintain the shitty state of climate change we're currently in. And that over a series of hundreds of years of reducing that carbon dioxide, we could actually reverse some of the worst effects. They've also been telling us for decades that there is only a finite amount of water on the planet. And don't come at me with salt water and desalination. Have you guys tried desalinated water? It's disgusting. There's only so much fresh water on the planet, and we actually require water and air and temperate climate to survive. And I can't think of a single fucking thing that we need from AI for survival. So I bring up these two headlines because I think they're showing how there's a much broader conversation that needs to be had around AI. Not only in its use, not only in its environmental harm, not only in the harm reduction, not only in the discussion around why companies want their worker bees to use this. It is that it is such a wide-ranging issue that the way it is reported upon in the media buries the lead, right? You get lost in the minutia of it and can't really step back and look at the real cost-benefit analysis of whether or not this technology is valuable for humanity and whether or not its uses are valuable enough for us to all run the risks we're all agreeing to. Because I don't think most people realize the risk. I don't think people realize how much harm is being done by using this technology. It feels fun. It feels helpful. It feels like a productive tool. And we hear it talked about as a productivity tool. Whenever I hear a company talking about productivity, my alarm bells are ringing. To me, that means a company is trying to cut costs. And by doing that, they are going to reduce the number of humans they employ, which is job security and good ideas. Right? Like, I have yet to be impressed by any of the thoughts in all the air quotes that has been presented to me whenever I have used AI. It is really a human looking at what AI has uncovered that has been the value add to that, right? The human brain can only consume and can only process a certain amount of information. Supercomputers and AI are there and are useful for processing a tremendous amount of data. But you still need humans to understand what that data is telling you. This is a hill I will die on.
And I also want to look at this through a gendered lens. I feel like we started seeing headlines about how Grok users were making these revenge porn images of women and sexualizing images of women and girls. And everyone kind of went, or it was treated in the media as kind of like oh no, like this is happening, but this is the price of AI. I can't help but think, like, if the headline had been like, people are using Grok to accuse men of sexual assault, like, I can't help but think that the reaction would have been extremely different.
Yeah, because who gives a shit about women and young girls.
I think we all have to get a lot better very quickly at recognizing what is factually accurate versus mildly spun versus a headline written by AI. It's a shitty takeaway. It's like more work for us. But I think that's the only actual way we get around this, is that we stop clicking on the obviously fake and sensationalized headlines. And we look for and choose, we self-select the articles that are fact-based and non-sensationalized. And there's always, you have to vote with your pocketbook in this instance. So those clicks are what generate revenue for websites and media companies. And the only way to sort of, I think, change this is to do it with our dollars and with our attention.
Yeah. Time to get off the hovering space mobile and help the plant get to be the person again.
I don't want to survive. I want to live.
Yeah, we have to stop and separate from all of this better, faster, bigger, quicker mentalities.
Here's a headline that always makes me lose my shit. GOP pushes SAVE Act, requiring ID and proof of citizenship required to vote. So let's talk about this so-called SAVE Act, voter ID, and this kind of specter of voter fraud. For years, we have been forced to listen to Republicans scream about voter fraud. From this idea of dead people on voter rolls to non-citizens voting. If you listen to them, it's happening all the time, everywhere, and we should all be terrified. And this is why we need to pass election integrity reforms, like the SAVE Act, which requires people to have the proper identification at the polls. If you're only listening to this and you're not watching it, I need you to know my fingers are now sore from the air quotes.
Lots of air quotes.
Dead people are not voting. And it's literally already illegal for people who are not citizens to vote in national elections. It is not happening. They're using this boogeyman to hide the fact that the people diluting the power of your vote and trying to keep you from voting are Republicans. Not dead people, not non-citizens, not Democrats, Republicans. So here's what the SAVE Act actually does. The SAVE Act essentially institutes a poll tax, yes, like the Jim Crow era, a poll tax on voting. It would require most people to go out and get additional proof that they are citizens of the United States before they are allowed to register to vote or to vote. And most of you are probably already thinking, I have a driver's license, I would be fine. No, your driver's license probably won't count because it doesn't list the place you were born on it. Maybe your passport would work, maybe it wouldn't. And most people don't actually have one anyway. Only about 50% of people have a passport. And if you've never gotten a passport, they are expensive and time-consuming to get.
Yeah.
Military IDs wouldn't count. Tribal IDs wouldn't count. And if you've ever changed your name, like, I don't know, you're a woman who got married, good luck. Because you have to have a birth certificate in order to make your driver's license that doesn't have your location of birth listed valid. But if your name on your birth certificate doesn't match the name on your driver's license, good luck, I guess. So the Campaign Legal Center estimates that over 21 million people would be left without the documents they would need to register to vote, or at least without easy access to them. That's nearly 10% of the voting age population. Those are make or break numbers for our election. Not to mention just the overall shitty impact it would have on our democracy. And this act also would eliminate things like mail-in voter registration, mail-in voting, online voter registration, force states to purge voters from their rolls regularly, which means maybe you went through all of these hoops to get registered, and then next year you find out you're not registered anymore. But maybe you don't find out until you go to vote.
If you've got to work this hard to make it this difficult for people to vote, rather than doing all of that, just be better fucking politicians. Just be better at what you're elected to do. You wouldn't have to work that hard to suppress everybody's vote and to turn people away when it's already so hard to get people to come out and vote. They'd be excited to come out and vote for you. Stop being like that scene in Liar Liar when he picks up the phone and he's like, "Stop breaking the law, asshole." Like, stop being shitty people. You don't need to go to this much effort. Just be better and people will vote for you.
Yeah, but they don't. All the things they're proposing are like deeply unpopular.
Exactly.
So their only options are like gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss the public into like believing that what you're going to do is not what you're going to do, or keep the people who know better from voting.
Yeah, stop being dickheads and this won't be an issue.
Yeah.
Write that into law. Just stop being dickheads.
I think that's an excellent policy position. And
It should be your presidential campaign platform.
Yeah, I look forward to that. As somebody who has changed my name and who does not have access to my original birth certificate and likes to vote, I really want to know where the No, I know where this genius idea comes from.
A white man? No! Well, what does security do about it?
Nothing.
Typical!
Go back to the ratification of the 19th Amendment when women got the right to vote. The pitch that white women made to be granted that right to vote was that 2 good votes are better than 1. Meaning, white women would vote the same way that their husbands would vote, therefore doubling their political power and increasing the number of votes for whoever their husbands decided to vote for. And sadly, the historic, the record shows that white women seem to vote with white men in overwhelming majorities. It's a real fucking bummer.
Ooh, you know what that sound means? We ran out of time. Turns out we had a lot to say about trying to take away the right to vote. What a shocker. Anyway, if you want to catch everything we had to cut from this episode, make sure you check us out on our social media channels at Organizing Chaos Pod. And until next time, go outside, touch grass, read beyond the headlines, and remember, the group chat is only part of the movement. We'll see you next time. Bye!